All right, now I want to talk about last night's Republican presidential debate, the final debate, finally, before the Iowa caucuses on January 3rd. I've got to say, it was a little less fun and exciting without Herman Cain, but one exchange from last night is worth noting. It's a back and forth between Michele Bachmann and Ron Paul on the issue of Iran.
Without a shadow of a doubt that Iran will take a nuclear weapon. They will use it to wipe our ally Israel off the face of the map, and they've stated they will use it against the United States of America. Look no further than the Iranian Constitution, which states unequivocally that their mission is to extend jihad across the world and eventually to set up a worldwide caliphate. We would be fools and knaves to ignore their purpose and their plan.
Congressman Paul.
Obviously, I would like to see a lot less nuclear weapons. I don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I would like to reduce them because there would be less chance of war. But to declare war on 1.2 billion Muslims and say all Muslims are the same, this is dangerous talk. Yeah, there are some radicals, but they don't come here to kill us because we're free and prosperous. Do they go to Switzerland and Sweden? I mean, that's absurd. If you think that is the reason, we have no chance of winning this. They come here and they explicitly explain it to it. The CIA has explained it to us. It said they come here and they want to do us harm because we're bombing them. What is the whole world about the drone being in Iran? And we're begging and pleading, and how are we going to start a war to get this drone back? Why were we flying the drone over Iran? Why do we have to bomb so many countries? Why are we have 900 bases, 130 countries, and we're totally bankrupt? How are you going to rebuild the military when we have no money?
If we have an avowed madman who uses that nuclear weapon to wipe nations off the face of the earth, and we have an IAEA report that just recently came out that said literally Iran is within just months of being able to obtain that weapon. Okay. Nothing could be more dangerous than the comments that we just heard.
All right, 30 seconds.
There is no UN report that said that. It's totally wrong on what you just said.
IAEA report.
That is not true. They produced information that led you to believe that, but they have no evidence. There's been no enrichment of these bombs.
If we agree with that, the United States people could be at risk of our national security.
So I'd like to finish. If she thinks we live in a dangerous world, she ought to think back when I was drafted in 1962 with the nuclear missiles in Cuba. And Kennedy calls Khrushchev and talks to him and talks him out of this, and we don't have a nuclear exchange. And you're trying to dramatize this, that we have to go and treat Iran like we've treated Iraq and kill 1 million Iraqis, and 8,000 some Americans have died since we've gone to war. You cannot solve these problems with war. You can solve the problems if we follow our Constitution, go to war, only when we declare the war, go in and win them and get them over with, instead of this endless fighting and this endless attitude that we have enemy all around the world.
But as President, I stand on the side of peace for the American people.
I'm sorry, what? Did Michele Bachmann just say what I think she said? Let me hear that again.
I stand on the side of peace for the American people.
Michele Bachmann stands on the side of peace. So essentially, let's start a war with Iran. P.S. I love peace. There are a lot of things that this makes me think of, but let me just make a light comparison with two cartoon characters, some of my favorites, Charlie Brown's little sister Sally and Linus.
Those kids at the playground think they're so tough. Well, I'm not out to start any trouble, but I'm also not afraid of them. I'm taking the advice of Theodore Roosevelt. Speak softly and carry a beagle.
In my administration, children will be children, and adults will be adults. I may even do away with stupid elections like this. Thank you.
After the holidays are over and everything has quieted, I'm gonna slug you.
So on one hand, you have the crazy, irrational girl flying off the handle once again. And then there's the guy everyone discounts, who actually is making perfect sense. A little far-fetched, but, you know, I think it works. But I want to get back to this comment made by Michele Bachmann. One more time, please.
I stand on the side of peace for the American people.
There are so many things to say about this. First of all, Bachmann cites a report by the International Atomic Energy Agency that basically says Iran might possibly have been working on developing nuclear weapons before 2003 and may possibly be doing so now. It does not cite any direct evidence of this because, well, there isn't any. So Michele Bachmann is drawing a conclusion based on a hypothesis that's based on a premonition and fear-mongering, and perhaps the desires of the defense community that Iran is an urgent, direct threat to the U.S. not to be ignored. Ron Paul says, let's just tell it like it is and be honest about the fact that it's the warmongering that beefs up the threat. And say what you will about Iran, but if you want to believe they have nuclear weapons capabilities despite very little evidence, fine. But don't say you're on the side and you favor peace in the same breath as you say a war with Iran might be imminent. Let's do a better job here at calling it like it is, people, not how the mainstream media tells us to.